Last time is Sam.
Last time we had a fight.
Yes.
One.
We won.
Decisively, even.
Yeah. And then they tried to run away, and we were like, no.
One got away.
One did. An annoying gnome.
Halfling.
Halfling.
A short
Whatever.
dude.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he got
Um,
away. We talked to some people. Well, a person.
We killed the other
dwarf
people.
work.
It was very horrifying.
Yes. So apparently we're not done with Delilah yet, so...
Delilah!
Dahlia.
Dahlia,
Close.
whatever, Delilah.
Silas! Delilah! Pow, pow! Wrong Dungeons & Dragons show.
Sorry!
And yet, we like
It is pretty close to the same, though.
Oh, please, we're nowhere near on their level.
No.
No, I mean in the context of who the character of Delilah versus the character of Dahlia. But anyway. Yeah. So, though to be fair, the centaur that Riven brutally murdered was, I think, the same combination of classes that Dusk was from Critical Role. But anyway. Or you, whatever name used. Anyway. Yes. Last session was a fight. The session before that was butted into this one was you guys leaving Yukiegi and talking to Ulora briefly and learning that she has no magic or no power anymore because of Dahlia shenanigans. And then you started to make your way to Keurkeul because you were going into figuring out where in the heck Yong is. Or what happened to Yong. So,
Yes.
you were traversing your way up to Keurkeul, and, it turns out,
And why are we in the river again?
I don't know.
if somebody
We-
moved your token over there.
I don't have access.
Neither
Why
do
would
I.
they do
I
that?
probably did it by accident, but it's fine. Because I found the crappy map, boop.
Dun dun dun.
The crappy map that I made that I'm not at all proud of because it literally just relied on it's fine, but
why-
god damn it, basic.
Hey,
Yes.
it's organized, it looks good, it's visual. I'm good.
So
And maybe 12
We
people
had
could live here.
well, based on the context of that map, much like Yukiegi and other maps that you've made of this.
I know. I just like to poke fun at my own shit because it's my own shit and I have the self-esteem of a dead lemming, so.
I would hope you have better self-esteem than that. You're
I
pretty
don't.
talented, but anyway. So anywho, last session did actually end with you guys making your way into Keurkeul, proper, and Riven thinking she heard Cal's voice, but turning around and finding out that it was Scout instead.
You're like, oh, it's you.
However, what we are going to do before we do that is we're going to backtrack a bit, because I realized that there was a day of travel from the battle with the people to you guys getting to Keurkeul, and I forgot a thing. Riven has to roll for her axe because she killed a centaur.
Oh. Well then.
Alright.
Roll not death.
It's 17.
Is that death?
I don't know.
Actually, roll it a second time because you technically would have advantage because of the book.
17.
Okay.
Are you happy I gave that to you yet?
I mean, I don't think it's actually helped yet, technically.
Yeah.
But yeah. 17 You're at let me double check page thing. Yeah, so you said it was a 17?
Yeah, I rolled a 17.
Okay. So not quite too horrible yet. So you're fine this time.
Okay.
This time, that's
Although-
reassuring.
Roll me a d6. Oh, cool. Okay. So you will in the day of travel to Keurkeul, Riven will find herself in that same forest scape thing that is sometimes the location of your dream.
Okay.
And you will... Before, when you were here, you found an elf at one point.
Mhm.
And you also, I think, were in the forest and found the Asimar at one point, even before you battled them with your blades.
Yes.
This time you have a dwarf.
Oh, joy.
You have a sort of older, graying bearded dwarf, Longbeard. And he is basically sharpening a blade on, using like a whetstone or whatever to sharpen the blade and things, and then you got to me? Why me? Hi.
What? You mean I got to you?
You don't realize how this works yet?
All I know is I have dreams, and all of a sudden I'm talking to different kinds of people, so I'm just kind of like going with it right now.
Okay. Well, you know about us. We all talked to you together once or twice.
Okay. Yeah, in like a tavern or something. I don't know.
Don't even realize what you have, do you?
No, it's just like I got the access. Now I'm having weird dreams. So what?
No one's, gave you anything that's, went with you yet, then?
I'm not gonna respond to that.
Okay, whatever. Enjoy the forest. You apparently like it.
Oh, yes, it's much better than a tavern.
You like forests better than taverns?
Yes.
Why? There's nothing here. There's a bunch of trees.
It's quiet.
2.
Taverns can be quiet.
I'm just a forest person, okay? Not much of a townsfolk.
Right. Hunter from way out in the middle of the woods somewhere.
Yeah.
You do have some pretty nice armor, I'll give you that.
Oh, thanks. Like, are you supposed to like teach me something, or is this just gonna be like a awkward conversation?
Well, it mostly is awkward conversations at this point, especially when you get somebody like me who, doesn't like talking to people. I'm just stuck. Like everybody else.
Everyone else doesn't seem stuck.
Not all of us want to be here. Some of us do.
I guess to each their own?
Pretty much. You're already losing yourself, though. What with your, many voices you got going on.
No. I'm just... It's
Raises eyebrow like, what was that?
I have...
I have kind, sir.
I was gonna say, I've been feeling kind of sick, but... throat kind of hurts, but... But yeah, I guess there is multiple voices. I don't know what to deal with that, but I still feel perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, of course you do. Doesn't mean you
Okay.
are, but you'll feel fine.
Then there's nothing wrong with me. I feel fine.
I can't feel this tumor. I must be perfect.
I am perfectly healthy.
I am the
The
picture
voices
of
just
health.
add to
It's
my
a pile of
intimidation.
I am the picture of health. It's just a pile of maggots.
Healthy maggots. They're doing very well.
Yes.
Riven like pokes herself in the forearm. I don't feel dead yet.
Not realizing that it's just a stump with a bone sticking out of it. It's like, yeah, no, this seems fine. That's Riven at this point. All right. And it's kind of perfect, but also kind of not.
Yeah. It's fine that the person who doesn't understand magic at all is slowly dying to a magical curse. It's fine.
No, it's like I don't feel anything wrong, so I must be okay. I'm not dying.
Sure. I want to follow that logic. You're out ahead. There were some that did. Then they got trapped here and, like, were terrified constantly.
I mean, there's some weird shit going on here in these dreams, but
No, really. So what have you seen so far?
a weird, spooky building with screaming people locked inside.
The asylum. Yeah, that's what those are.
Asylum.
Uh-huh. I don't suppose you've heard that term, being a forest girl.
What's an asylum?
Thought so. Yeah. Asylums where people who have gone crazy go.
But I'm not. I wasn't crazy, so why did I go?
You went to see the people, the people that were crazy, that were screaming? Yeah, those are the crazy people. You just were visiting for a bit.
Why would I want to visit? Okay.
It's okay. You'll figure it out. Eventually. Maybe.
Maybe. Canada's hoping at this point.
Yeah.
And, well, if you don't, then you just become one of the other screaming folks that's stuck inside.
Riven's like, but you're not screaming. And he's like, ah.
Smart ass. Okay.
Whatever. I don't have any real family to worry about to give you anything. So,
So
you can just treat this dream as like you do the rest of them. That doesn't matter.
I most likely will, but it's just like I don't know. It's like you're saying you're stuck. Why do you think you're stuck?
Because my soul cannot go to where it's supposed to. It's stuck here.
Your soul is stuck in a dream.
My soul is stuck in a prison of insane people. Yeah.
So why aren't you in the asylum?
Currently, because you want to see this.
You're not screaming.
You can't hear it. You're in the forest. You're not in the asylum. Like you said, forests are quiet.
So if we went to the asylum, you'd just be sitting here screaming at me?
No. You'd probably be in my lovely room, cell, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Or, because they would want to make it look prettier, you'd be talking to me in a tavern. Most people are okay with taverns. You're not. So, here we are. Mind magic. I didn't get it either when I found him. Not at first, anyway. I started to figure it out. Anyway.
I still don't feel like anything is bad is going on. Maybe.
When you start to lose control, you will. Although,
That's ominous.
If I do start losing control, when would that happen?
that depends on how far gone you are. Considering the multiple voices, I'd say about halfway.
Okay.
Have you ever made a kill and not realized why?
Yes.
Yes. So, right. You travel with a bunch of other people. That would make sense. Okay. So,
What do you mean I travel with a bunch of other people?
well,
Well,
you have
yeah,
friends.
yeah, of course I do, but what does that have to do with anything?
That would be why you would be able to even answer my question. Because considering the state of your mind right now, I would assume that if you were by yourself and you killed someone by accident, sometime after you killed them, you'd be like, oh yeah, I wanted to. Of course I did. But because you have friends, they're like, by the way, no you didn't. You realize, no you didn't. So, you see, because that's how this act works. If you're by yourself with those things, you're gone in a couple
Technically,
months.
I did want to kill the guy. I really did. He was an asshole.
Yeah, fair. There are some of those. Either way, point is, you have friends to back you up. You're about halfway gone. And maybe you could save us all if you don't lose yourself along the way.
Save you all?
Yeah.
How? Who all wants saving?
Well, okay, look. I'll give it to you straight. The people that are locked in that asylum that I told you about are going to be people who were either users of the axes that you have that lost control,
Okay.
or the people that those axes killed, either intentionally or not. And like the 3 or 4 people
Wait,
that
so the person
created
that
this
I
mess.
did. So the person that I killed, that I know I didn't kill under my control, he's here?
Somewhere.
I know I
Yeah,
saw a
probably.
bugbear, but I just thought it was due to my hallucinating dreaming that I saw this dead bugbear.
Did you kill a bugbear?
I did. But then he
yeah.
showed up in my dream the night after, so I just thought it was like some bad hallucination. Trauma.
I mean, reasonable.
Bullshit.
But yeah, he's stuck here too.
Can I talk to him?
At the time, no. When you, as DM me speaking, at the time, not really.
Well, I mean, like now.
Wait, you want to talk to the bugbear?
No, I want to talk to the gnome that I killed.
Oh, him.
Yes, I want to talk to the asshole.
She starts punching herself in the face. It's like, take that.
Unfortunately, it would be somewhat unlikely for you to get to him.
What? Why?
I don't really know. It's some weird organization to how this thing works, but apparently, it's some sort of magic based on race and type. So the more of a given race that's been killed or wielded the axe before, the less likely you'll find a specific one. And considering you just said gnome, the asshole you're referring to as a gnome,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a lot of gnomes in here. Most of them innocent, some not so much. Him not so much, probably considering you wanted to kill him. But
Yeah,
I don't know
but
what you're.
I have some questions for him. And since
Okay.
if I can find out those answers, might be slightly forgiven for doing something bad. But it just means I need to talk to him. So is there like a line that I can go stand out, or something where I can go walk along?
line!
A line of gnomes that I can just go walk along until I find him.
Alright, everyone, line up. Your murderer's here.
Take a number.
Riven is amazing.
Right? Doesn't work that way. So, I'll give it to you the other way.
Well, then where are the twins? Where are the freaking twins?
Oh, them.
Where are they?
Uh,
Are they in the forest? Are they back at the tavern? Or the asylum? Or whichever? Which one is it?
it's all of those things and none of those things.
What?
Okay, look. If you want to get the information from this one particular soul that you happen to have trapped here that you killed, the best bet is to figure out how to save us. Because most of the souls here are dead and gone. Meaning that as soon as we're all saved, we all get to go to whatever realm we're supposed to go to. And then
Okay.
and then you could, see each one off, I guess. Maybe. I don't know.
But I don't know how to save you guys. And I
Neither
definitely
did
don't want to save him.
Well, you can't necessarily save us so much as free us and get us to go back to the afterlife we're supposed to go to, rather than being stuck in here. Now, the other side of the coin is, if you have people that you have killed who had rather unique souls, either because of race or some other something, then you could talk to them. Hence why you saw the bugbear. He's probably the only bugbear in here. There's a lot of goblins. I know that. Even a couple
Okay.
hobgoblins, but only one bugbear. The one you killed. Also, I think you just recently killed... He sort of closes his eyes and you hear, like, echoing whispers and things. You hear them, and so does he, seems to. And then... You killed a centaur. Interesting. Huh.
What, he's in here?
Just got through telling you that everyone that you killed with those axes is in here.
Okay, you gotta forgive me. My mind is a little short, okay?
Okay.
No, my mind is simple. Alright? It takes me a while.
At least you're
I
so
know.
aware of it.
So yes, Centaur is here. He is someone you could talk to relatively easily compared to the gnome.
No, I want to talk to the gnome. I am stubborn and I want to find this gnome. Look, I even know his name.
That might help. Maybe. Uncle Angie. There you go.
That's it.
Okay.
God.
Yeah. Back character. His name is Landry, and he's a con artist,
The dick. Also dead.
and he might try to sell you something that's fake. So,
I can't do a lot of that here. None of us have what we used to have.
I don't know, he might find a pebble.
Never underestimate the resourcefulness of a con man if it means making a quote-unquote deal.
Well, all I can say is, if you want to increase your chances to encounter him, the only way that you encounter people, really,
Well, I mean, we're
Is-
here now in this dream. I would say just
yes,
like,
but I can't just
to
be
the
like,
asylum.
I can't just be like, Landy, boom, and here he is. No, doesn't work that way.
I don't know. I guess take me back to the asylum since everyone is trapped there. I don't know.
Are you sure you want to go there?
Yes.
Definitely not quiet.
I can deal with it. I'll be grumpy, but I can deal with it.
Okay.
To the asylum. Poof.
Yeah, literally. He will like snap his fingers and poof, make a wisdom save.
Oh dear lord.
Oh, very nice. Very, very nice. Okay, so
Did you roll poorly or something? My eyes
I
aren't
rolled a
currently...
1.
Oh, good! Yep, my eyes aren't
I rolled a
currently on
natural
the
1.
screen, so...
I mean, I heard her say that when I was looking at the screen to find it. So yeah, grand, great, wonderful. So he will snap his fingers, and you are hit by a wave cacophony of screaming and shouting and then you wake up.
Fuck. Okay.
Uh-huh. So
All right.
now it would go into what would be have been your watch for that day, and then making the way up to Keurkeul, and we're back caught up to where we were.
Yay! So now we're back in the town, and we see a bird in front of us.
Yes, a bird.
Man.
Yes. You have found Burb.
We have found the chocobo. Wait, no, wrong system. Never mind me, I was making a stupid joke.
Bird is Scout, and he is the one who worked with Cal.
Oh, if only Cal was here.
Right? If only Cal was here. Currently, she went down south to find somebody that might uncurse your access.
Yeah, maybe.
So, yeah. You will, make your way up into Keurkeul proper, and Scout will call Riven's name in Cal's voice, and then she will be disappointed. And then Byrn and Bjorn. I don't think Bjorn has ever encountered a Kenku.
I don't think he's encountered this Kenku either.
It wouldn't be this Kenku anyway. If he encountered in Kenku, it would have been Wesley, possibly. But I don't think he did.
No, Wesley
Doesn't-
was a million years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't sound familiar.
Yeah. So yeah. I don't think that Kenku would be a common, if at all, race up in Iban. So somewhat like the Warforged, where you didn't really know the race or the people. You don't really know why there's this random bird person that happens to talk in multiple different voices and sounds. So he will basically greet Riven by saying Riven in Cal's voice. And then I believe whoever it was that introduced everyone to Cal or inside the apothecary at that time, it was either Oak or perhaps even Locke, one of y'all. He will use whoever's voice he heard saying each of your individual names. And then he doesn't know Byrn and Bjorn.
Been a while since I've seen you. Scout? Am I remembering it right? Locke did learn the Kenku's name, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I wasn't inserting canon where it did not exist.
Yeah, he learned his name. Cal would have said his name at one point or another.
Alright.
And he will nod and sort of chirp.
Cutie. So, oh, shit. Now I'll turn to, I'll turn to Bjorn and Byrn, the bees of the group.
Yep.
This is a Scout, friend of ours of a sort. Acquaintances, really, but yeah.
How do you do?
Scout will then... How do you do?
I imagine
Rather
Byron
happily.
would have been familiar
Ra-
with Kenku in general.
Probably, yeah.
Just sort of grins a little bit. Clever trick.
Kind of what Kenku do last I checked.
And then, in a voice that's somewhat gruff, but also somewhat feminine and endearing. It reminds you a little bit of Snack, but not quite that far from Misty Village. And it's, so what do I owe the pleasure?
And that is still Scout saying it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Biotechnicality, he's imitating a shopkeeper that is somewhere in this town. that you guys may or may not have heard, but he is basically asking, "What are you doing here?" in the best way that he knows how.
Right. Fair enough. Looking for a friend of ours. Yong. Yong's a dwarf, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Female dwarf, punches things, really sneaky. All the cool shit around her seems to happen when no one is looking, though.
Sort of will tilt his head.
I use Mask of Many Faces to make myself look like a tall, skinny Yong. Which I'm sure is confusing to Riven. Just like, you weren't that before.
What?
Magic!
I mean, okay, she's not completely dumbfounded by magic. Come on now.
No,
I know.
she's not. She's just like, okay, this is a magic thing. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. And I know Riven's not totally stunned by magic all the time. I'm just pitching her shit because I want.
Yeah. It's
So you're
fun.
a tall, very lanky version of Yong?
Yes.
Is Mask of Many Faces alter self or disguise self?
I think it's disguise self. Hence why I said tall and skinny, because I'm basically just putting on Young's clothes and like that sort of thing. But outside of that, it's
You would effectively be. Young was shorter than you, but not by much. Considering that you are a half-elven teenager and she is a dwarf.
I'm also a fucking runt, so there's that.
Yeah. I think you established that he was like 5'4".
He's some variety of skinny.
Yeah. So like 5'4", and then she was like 4'10" or 4'8", because dwarf. But you would be taller, but disguise self could actually make you not necessarily as skinny. You could widen yourself a bit. It just wouldn't actually be there. So, anyway, regardless, he will sort of look at you, and then he will say, in a voice that does sound like Yong, "I'm looking for this person."
That's it. That's the voice. She's a friend of ours, and we haven't heard from her in a while. Do you have any idea of where she is or what she's up to?
He will shake his head and point to what looks to be a it's like sort of off to the outskirts of town a little bit, and it is what looks to be a sort of rundown house of some sort. Is everyone focused on Locke and this Kinku? Is anybody doing anything else?
Riven's just looking around.
Yeah, pretty much same with Bjorn.
Looking around, but still listening to conversation.
Right, of course. Those who are looking around and are not Locke, focused on Burb, give me a perception check. So, 23 from Riven, 12 from Hollis, 26 from Oak, and 16 from Bjorn, and then a hidden because GM mode, 30 from Byrn. Yeah. So, Oak and Byrn will see it. Since you guys are sort of in the middle of town, you'll see the quest board that is generally associated with like mercenary quests and adventuring quests and all that other fun stuff. And you'll happen to notice that, at least from the angle that you're looking at it, there is something that's been etched and carved into the back of the quest board. And it looks like it doesn't belong there. Oak will sort of tilt his head and blink and then look at it. Okay, weird. And he will go over and...
Look at it.
Yeah. Go over and investigate it.
Okay.
It appears to be in a language that neither Oak nor Byrn know. So, yeah, you and then Riven, Hollis, and Bjorn, you guys will see that Oak and Byrn look over at the quest board and are looking into that, while Locke goes off and does his thing with the
Kinku.
Kinku.
Just
For a
sitting there
second.
talking to the Kinku.
Yeah, while he goes off and eats. So,
Alright, so
Yes. I'm gonna head
Bjorn
over and
and
see
Riven.
what they're looking at.
yep.
they're like, what's this? All of a sudden, it's like Locke is talking to the Kinku, and he turns around like, where'd everyone go?
Where'd everybody? Yeah.
Didn't I have companions at some point?
Where did everybody go? Yeah. So,
I guess we'll all wander to the quest board and like start staring at the symbol or whatever.
it's like this etched carving on the back. And it looks a bit like giant, which technically Oak and Bjorn know giant. But it is not giant. It is,
Also knows giant.
yeah. It's not quite giant. Something close in orientation, at least. But it's not a language that anybody knows, and it's this carved, written text of some sort.
I'm gonna copy some of it down in my
Get
journal.
back here!
Okay, what's up? And I waddle over.
We point at
Waddle.
the symbol that we.
Waddle, waddle, waddle. Till the very next day. Bum, bum,
Shut
bum,
up.
bum.
Alright, I'm going to have a look-see at what is there.
Okay.
All of us.
So you will have a looking on the quest board, you will get it appears to be dwarvish in nature. So it is text written in dwarvish.
Not a language I know.
Not a language you know, but Eyes of the Runekeeper, you can read it anyway.
I don't know.
Which is why you are an awesome translator person. But when you translate it, you are left with just a random string of words that make very little sense together. And it is that.
Locke is going to stare at this for a second. Right. Okay. I understand perfectly.
You do?
No.
Byrn chuckles slightly.
It reads, and I quote, East waves, start helmet, silver piece, banana. No punctuation. Every first letter is capitalized.
Wait, out of character, can you type this out?
Yeah.
Doran, you
Good
want to do the
luck,
honors?
just-
Silver piece banana.
Just banana.
Banana!
Banana.
That.
East waves start.
East waves, start helmet, silver piece, banana.
Huh.
So I have two
So-
theories. Three
Do we need
theories.
to find a banana that's cost a silver piece?
My theory is that either Yong was drunk, Yong was high, this is a cipher, or Yong did not write this.
I'm going to vote for a combination of two of those. Definitely a cipher. Young probably didn't write it.
Does it look like Yong's handwriting? I assume I've seen Yong's handwriting at least once.
But in Dwarvish?
It is written in Dwarvish, and Oak sort of looks at it and it's like, it could be, but handwriting when you're writing on a piece of parchment versus carving it on a board is going to be slightly different, especially if you're like rushed and or trying to hide it. So I don't really know. Although if it is Yong, the cipher thing could make sense. Too bad we don't have a rogue.
Locke just kind of gets a slightly offended look on his face.
Let's
Would
see.
I have any insight into it?
Like, I would ask if Locke could, like, start trying to decipher the cipher, but I'm not Caleb. I have an intelligence of 11. This is a bit outside of my wheelhouse.
Riven just turns to the east and waves.
Would also like to try an insight check if that's the thing we can do.
Well, I will say, at least for one of you, no insight is going to be required.
Huh.
Wait, I look to the east. What do I see in that direction?
Currently, in the east, is,
A tree. It's waving back.
I mean, yeah, probably. It would be, there's forested areas in between here. Well, actually, you'd see mostly mountain, I think, based on the orientation of, well, no, trees and water and a river, because east would be toward Yukiyegi. But yeah, so, I'm going to,
Banana.
I am going to whisper a person.
Riven's gonna go to the fruit stands and look for someone selling a banana.
Okay. Book?
What?
He's whispering by typing on his phone, so much slower than usual, probably.
I had to go to my computer to type it because it's easier. But yeah.
So, that's interesting.
What's throwing me off is the banana.
Banana! Is
It
this
does
a
seem
minion?
to be a bit of a tone shift, doesn't it?
Hey, that's me!
Do we want to head east until we hit water?
So,
Because, you know, like, east waves, like waves in water, maybe?
Byrn is just sort of studying over this strange bit of writing. And now that the meaning of the words have been shared, Byrn just sort of says under his breath, I wonder if this has something to do with silver.
Beg pardon.
Did we tell anything to him about silver?
I mean, he's probably heard us
Not.
mention Silver once or twice. Like
You've mentioned a
Yeah.
bunch of people by name. You might have mentioned her by name, but nothing specific, no.
You want to run that one by us one more time there, bald man?
Came to on hilt of sword.
He looks up from being sort of lost in his own thoughts, trying to, like, solve a puzzle. I'm sorry, what?
You mentioned Silver. Would you like to
Oh.
run that one by us one more time?
Yeah, sorry, I was sort of thinking out loud. he sort of points to the scratched out message or whatever. I could be wrong, but based on what you said this says, I wonder if this has to do with a particular individual who went by the name of Silver.
Yeah, we know her. I'm assuming we're talking about the same Silver.
I suppose it's possible. Does she have anything to do with Helm?
Yep.
Does she have a bias against doors?
I forgot
Now
about
that I could not tell you. I don't know. But, yeah. So, you said silver piece and the dwarvish word for silver piece and the dwarvish word for helmet. I do believe that you were on the right track. This is some sort of cipher. I'm inclined to believe that this message may have something to do with that individual.
How do you jump to that conclusion?
I have a particular knack for right there in the chat. I have a particular knack for finding hidden messages and things.
Huh. You're gonna have to teach me that one of these days.
It's a fun one. East waves start silver banana.
I say we head east until we hit river, and that's where we start to look for silver. But what is this thing with a banana?
Yes, that is a little befuddling.
How would she embark or travel, leave?
Maybe.
Ooh.
How would she embark on a boat to the east? Is there somewhere east of here that she could disembark on a big body of water?
To the west, yes, but
Can we get a look at the overworld map? Because right now I am lost. I can't remember. I may have made that map, but I can't remember every single bit of topography off the top of my head.
well, I know there was rivers of water, but those were strong currents. Why would she need to take a boat?
It also doesn't help that last I checked, Silver is still stuck in a fucking cell way down south of here. So
Yeah, because I know we sent Yong went to go find more information.
There are rivers.
And
I will tell you this, seeing as how Byrn has established that, yes, he knows things can't.
Mm-hmm.
Thieves' Cant is why this is a cipher. Thieves' Cant is you insert gook to make things coded.
Locke can literally read the language. I can't. But I can find the intended hidden meaning where he can't.
Right. That said, some
Didn't
words.
Yong go look for Silver Sword. Yong.
That said, the actual words, ignoring the pieces of information that were part of the cipher to make it work, that the cipher was shift everything in a given direction, i.e. east or west, right or left, a certain amount. 1, 2, 3. A, B, C. Banana, twice. Shift the words over twice.
Huh.
So the actual message is start, helmet, silver piece, waves. Waves as in sea. Start looking for silver across the ocean.
Huh.
Wait,
Well,
so we gotta go across the ocean and get in? Well, no, not again for Riven, but
It's been too long since I've been upon the waves.
Again? Oh, feels like
You
we
all
were
act as
just-
if this is disappointing.
Look, I'm real happy we met you, Bjorn, but seriously, we got to Ebon the first time because we forgot to tell the pilot of our boat where we wanted to go, and we just kind of got yoinked along for the ride.
Byrn
Wouldn't
chuckles
the
slightly.
destination normally be part of the initial negotiation?
We were in a hurry.
Byrn chuckles again.
We were in a very big hurry. We'd all had shitty nightmares. We were dealing with insomnia. We didn't think to address it that day on account of all those things, and by that point, it was kind of a far-gone conclusion. We didn't realize that we had forgotten to ask where the fuck we were going until like 3 days in, and then, oh shit. It was a whole thing.
Huh.
It was a whole
Yes.
thing. Riven, you would have hated it. Thank goodness you missed that one.
yeah, I'd rather stay here.
Yeah, so would we have yet, and here we are. Okay, alright. Across the waves, across the ocean. That is absurdly broad.
So, is Helm part of it, or is Helm just helped to be the identifier to say silver?
Are there any prominent temples of Helm in Iban that I would know of?
Roll religion.
Ooh, that is surprisingly not one of my strong suits.
Right?
I mean, you're a paladin of partying, not of praying. Thank goodness.
This is correct. 15.
Someone else could also technically roll religion, being a person who is from Iban. You said you were anyway.
Oh,
It took all of us a second to get there.
Like, if we were all in the same room, we would be staring at him.
Oh wow. Okay, so
Religion's not his forte.
Bjorn rolled a 15 and Byrn rolled an 8. Bjorn,
Yes.
there were no real heavy temples of Helm that you know of that are in Iban.
Alright.
You know of Helm being a religious type of your caliber. I mean, you've heard of him, you've read about him probably, but as far as any actual identifiable temples or strong members of Helm, none on Iban.
Alright.
Are there any other
Okay,
major
well, you're
continents
person
besides
of
this one and Ebon?
There are technically. I just haven't mentioned them, and neither do I have maps for them yet.
Right.
Gonna start
Um,
traveling the globe here soon.
in particular, at least from y'all's perspective as characters, there was the continent that Scarlet would have been from, technically. That I would consider a place of separate from Gradiriel and Iban. And there's also another one that I was bringing up as some other place of potential importance. But as far as me having defined definitive names for them yet, I have a few that I'm looking at, but I haven't decided which one of the names that I actually like. Because I continuously make names for places that you guys don't like. So it's kind of hard.
I mean, I never said I dislike the names of your places. I just point out that they sometimes sound weird.
Yeah, yeah.
nothing
That's,
wrong with that.
but yeah, there is technically another town or another continent that would be effectively west of Gradiriel, because Iban is north,
Do I mean
so
not
more
east?
heading west.
What is this west of which you speak?
West, sure.
Yeah.
East! Not north.
Exactly. Yes. So anyway, it is a potential plot, a potential thread that you could choose to follow if you choose to do so. You also have the Kenku that directed you to a ramshackle house.
Suppose we should probably check that place out before we jump to any more conclusions.
What was Yong exactly doing again up here?
That is
Like,
a
you guys-
fantastic
you guys-
question. I just know she just kind of fucked off at some point. It's been a while. Dungeon
Weren't you guys
Master,
supposed to
we need
find
help.
something?
Uh-huh.
Aren't you guys supposed to find something, and then we were gonna go to the temple because you want to use the dragon that we can't keep paying to be on our side?
Yeah, that's getting
Um,
spendy.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm
she
worried
hasn't
that
asked
our
us to pay
debt
her
is
in a
getting higher.
while.
Yes, which is slightly concerning.
Uh-huh. So, Yong, in reference to where it is that she went, after Locke got several people to come in line to help him, army and a dragon, whatever, all that mess, it was then determined that, he could not go and deal with Silver and try to help her yet. He had to get the army together, essentially. He also had to deal with the whole Noro thing, that was biting him in the butt at the moment. So
There
you
was
guys
something
focus.
else that was Silver.
Yeah.
Actually, I remember asked during a dream.
Yes, I know. I'm getting there.
Yeah, get the
Okay.
sword or whatever.
So Yong was asked to buy Silver in a dream. Yong was asked to get Silver's sword, or find Silver's sword. And along with that, Yong was basically, you guys are going to go and do your own thing. I haven't been helpful on your mission because every time I've been on screen, I suck. So I'm going to go and find Silver on my own. And she booked it and left with the intention of, she was going to see if she could figure out what happened to Silver, find her, perhaps find Silver's sword because of Dream Thing, and see if she could save her. That was the intent. Beyond that, she left in game time, in the real timeline of the game. Yong left 3 months ago.
It's been a moment.
It has.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We all know where Silver's at.
Yeah, we've just been trying to. We just keep getting sidetracked.
Well, we're trying to find
Um,
Yong to make sure she's okay, since apparently
Yeah.
Oak can't hear her.
Right. So at this point, it was deemed that Yong has information, potentially information on Silver and what's going on with Silver, because that's what she was looking into. And then she disappeared from Oak's radar. Silver is also not on Oak's radar either. He has tried to contact her with sending and hasn't got her. For the same reason he
That's
couldn't get
news
Silver.
for us.
Well, actually, technically, he hasn't. He's been more focused on his sister, so he hasn't really actually tried to contact Silver. But
So if he did, he wouldn't be able to
yeah,
contact
if he did, he would get the same sort of "the person you are trying to reach is unreachable" message.
Okay.
But yeah, you have multiple different avenues that you could take. You could continue looking into Yong and figuring out what happened with her by virtue of following along the trail that she perhaps left. And with you guys having put the pieces together to this message, it looks a bit like Yong's writing, but writing with carving is different from writing on parchment. Based on what Oak said, it could be Yong. And then when it's established that it's written in Dwarvish thieves' cant, Oak's like, it is Yong. Because Yong is both a dwarf and a rogue. So, it makes sense.
Let's go investigate the house before we leave.
Yes.
So,
That is next tip on the agenda, as it were. You're going to go and look into the house. So is everybody going in to take a look? Your whole crew?
I fucking suppose we might as well.
So this house at first glance, it looks to be like the house of someone who lived by themselves and sort of kept to themselves. The house of a recluse, perhaps. And there is no one here. House is empty, and the house is in shambles. There is like a chair that's been knocked over. There's a desk that's been completely flipped upside down. And there is no one here.
Well, we were directed to come here, so I guess everyone
just
split.
boot the door.
I guess everyone just split up and look for clues.
Sure.
Let's do the Scooby-Doo.
Why not?
Yeah. So,
Investigate.
in light of that, it would be a group-based investigation sort of a situation.
16 for Riven.
16 from Locke.
A 15 from Bjorn.
Pathetic. I tease.
A 16.
Here comes Oak to save the day.
So 16, 16, 15, 16, 24. Well done. So, in looking around and sort of trying to get an idea of what has happened here, everyone rolled at least a 15, so it's not really hard to figure out that there was some sort of a fight or a scuffle or a brawl of some sort here. There is like sort of behind the desk and slightly underneath where it was flipped over, as if somebody perhaps was knocked into it and then the desk was flipped, and yeah. There is like a smear of blood, but it's dry. Well, at least as dry as it would be if it hadn't happened relatively recently. Because it's happened a while back. But yeah, some sort of scuffle, some sort of fight happened here. And since everybody rolled at least a 15, everybody roll me a d20. I need to figure out who finds it.
Tie-in?
Okay,
Byrn.
so Byrn finds it. And even though there's a 24 from Oak, he is Oracle NPC and self-insert, and I want to give you guys a chance to actually find stuff.
Oh, great. It's a Kirby.
Yes.
Hmm? What's
Doodle
a 30? What?
Doodle page.
Kirby. Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Hi. Yeah. Anyway. So yes, you will. Now, here's the thing. I gave you guys a doodle map. Don't get distracted by the doodle map and not hear what I'm saying.
I don't know. This terrain at the northeast is pretty nice.
Thank you.
Anyway.
There's like copy and paste it in, right?
No, I've just been drawing that.
Right, I know. It looks really good.
So, yes, with Byrn will find what appears to be looks like a ledger. It looks like a list of transactions and something of that sort. And let's see. Let me double check. You will find a ledger and a list of transactions under the title of someone named the Finder.
The Finder.
Finder.
And it's Byrn that finds this first.
It says what about the finder? Sorry.
It at the top it's like has the name or title of the finder, and it's a list of transactions, like payments varying from like a couple silver pieces to like a 3 or 4 gold, and it's talks about finding gemstones, talks about finding like weaponry, certain artifacts and things. Those are really like high prices. And there's even a few that talk about finding a person or an animal.
So
Largely, though, the biggest and most common is gemstones and jewelry.
Okay. So perhaps whoever was here was known as the Finder. That could be a reason your friend may have stopped here, since she was trying to find something.
Maybe. So it looks like there was like a fight here, right?
Yep.
Does it look like there was magic used, or was it all purely martial stuff?
Well, there was, in amongst the debris and avenues of the fight, there were scorch marks. So, at the very least, perhaps fire was used. That doesn't necessarily tell you whether or not it was magic or not.
And detect magic wouldn't tell me anything at this point. This fight would have happened a while ago.
Right, precisely.
So, shouldn't be doing
Yep.
anything with that.
I'm assuming Byrn will actually share and show the ledger and whatnot.
Yeah, I already announced it was in character. I already announced that. That's
Yeah,
possibly
okay.
why.
Who is the
So,
Finder?
so an interesting point of order.
Well, that's actually a good question. Do I know anything about this? Have I ever heard anything about someone known as the Finder?
Roll history.
History. No.
Nope.
Since I've been like up and around this area, can I roll to see if I know
You
anything
can roll
about
history as well,
Finder?
yes.
I mean, I've heard of Finder, but I don't know.
Okay. An interesting point of thing. Perhaps 4 times in and amongst the names on the ledger, because the names on the ledger are written in like various different dialects, but once it's handed off to Locke, Locke can just, whatever, and he can read the whole thing. 4 of the transactions, all wanting gemstones of some make and variety. 4 of the transactions are to Langi.
That's disgruntling.
He is the name associated with him. And then there's names of other people that are associated that you don't know. But you do recognize a name that is on this ledger, and it's his. Langi.
That's disgruntling.
What?
Apparent-
What's disgruntling?
The Langis are fingers.
Apparently Langi had dealings with this Finder person. It's on this ledger.
Ooh.
Yeah, a bit of an unfortunate kill, that one, increasingly.
Look, I'm trying to fix it right now, okay? Give me a break.
You're what?
It's complicated to explain. Just hang in there.
Try me. Please.
It's more that it's complicated for me to explain because it'll probably hurt my brain more than it hurts yours.
Okay, you know what? That is a fair point.
But I just ask that you kind of bear with me. Give me some time.
Okay.
Anything else? Is there any other names in that list that we recognize?
I mean, I'll show it around to everyone and start reading off the names, see if anything rings a
Sure.
bell.
If any names click or register or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let me find. She's only in there once, and again, you're not necessarily sure if it's just somebody with the same name. The name Vanessa's in there one time.
Vanessa! Let me check my
We've heard that name.
We have? Let me check my fucking notes. Vanessa is not my half-sister. Vanessa is not Valana, who is fucking deadzo, I'm pretty sure, still. Vanessa, listed as an enemy, though I never wrote down anything more than just someone in Rydale.
As a reminder...
Oh, I remember her now.
There.
We haven't had much dealings, but we had come across a couple of things that dealt with her. Something about a mine with her, correct?
Yes. When Silver went to, because it wasn't Riven that got the entertainment hat. It was Silver.
Yes.
When Silver got the entertainment hat from Langy, she was effectively going in there with not knowing how to be able to get it, but she ended up...
Silent intimidation type. I'd be like, you know what you did.
The name was mentioned that Vanessa was someone who had dealings with Langy.
Why?
What the heck are you doing?
Listening and paying attention.
I'm listening too.
Hey.
Oh, let's just
Anyway,
continue on.
whatever.
Kirby with
So-
feet.
Vanessa was someone who had dealings with Langy, for one, and was someone who worked with Unray at the Idle Tomcat, but then she apparently went steady and left. The reason she's listed as an enemy in Locke's thing is because Langy claimed that, eventually Langy claimed, before you killed him, that the person who gave him the fake gold was her. So he didn't realize it was fake when he gave it to you because he got it from her. She was the one that it came from. He was the one. She was the one that he blamed for getting it.
I see.
Whether or not she's actually related to that, you don't know. But that would be why you listed her as enemy.
Alright.
But yes. So Langy, Vanessa, and a slew of other names you don't know. Although, at the very bottom of the list, you have you guys were so focused on the top of the list that you didn't go back through the pages of the notebook or whatever, because it's like one of those notepads that has many pages. When you flip and you find your way through all of the pages, you do find one, but there's no payment attached to it, and it is listed as Yongerlin, which is Yong's full name. You always call her Yong, but her real name is Yongerlin. And then the item that she is looking for, information on Ira Silverstein. Or Silverstein, whatever. Stein, yeah. Information on Ira Silverstein, which would then confirm that yes, Yongerlin was working with this guy, and he was going to help her find not necessarily Silver herself, but information on Silver.
Alright, well, that's confirmation that she was here, at least.
What's worrying is all this fighting.
Yeah. So I get the impression that maybe Silver's captors somehow caught wind of the fact that, we would not just be letting that sit and send someone to try and mitigate any efforts. It's the only thing I can think of.
You have your ledger. Yong was here. And yeah, you have a couple different avenues of stuff that you could do. And Oak will speak up. Maybe we could ask around town and see if I know Scout helped us out to point us here, but
What time of day is it?
That's a good
it
question.
is the middle of the morning. Like, it's probably I'd say like 11 a.m. or so ish, because you guys would have had your camp just outside of town, wake up, and then journey your way into Keurkeul proper. And then you would have caught Scout in the middle of his rounds through all the different merchants, like he does. And then he would have saw the people that he recognized, and then it's like, oh, people, hi. So there are people milling about the town, for the most part. Some give you odd glances and whatnot. And there are some that are sort of giving you a wide berth because of the massive dire wolf. But
Random
aside from
townsfolk say, "Oh, cute puppy."
there might have been a kid or two that tried to do that, and the
twitch.
parent was like, no. But yeah, there are people sort of milling about.
Alright, shall we just
On the
go
outside.
around and start asking people?
I guess.
Okay, let's go do that. It's either that or we, find a way to, I don't know, cross the sea? Do we really think she went across the sea? But if she went across the sea, why is there a whole bunch of fighting in here? Where a place she was staying?
Well, I think the question is, did the message in the sign get carved there before or after whatever happened here?
Yeah.
Is a good question.
Yep.
Riven is going to go outside.
Okay.
Yes. So give me a perception check, Riven. Not going to necessarily be hard, but it's whether or not you find anybody. Okay, 9. Again, you're all about your 9s.
9?
So you do see a few people milling about. Since this is
I
on the
point out one and go, you! And go up to him.
Uh-oh.
Are you going to go to them?
Yes.
Hello.
So you will find your way to what looks to be perhaps somewhere in her 30s female human that just like, oh, what, me? What? Huh? Hi?
Yes, you. Hi. He goes right up to, along with the direwolf. Have you seen a young dwarf around here? White hair? Beard?
I mean, there's lots of dwarfs around here. White hair? What?
Didn't Young have white hair?
She did, yes.
Yes, white hair.
We don't ask her about it.
Not. I mean, maybe? I don't know. I don't really pay attention to the people that just travel in and then in and out. There's no one that's
Okay.
a female dwarf with white hair that lives here, so nah.
Did someone live in that place over there?
Oh, that? He was recluse. He usually kept to himself. Sometimes he would go out and do prospecting things in the mines, but he largely kept to himself.
Where's he at?
She sort of looks past you at the ramshackle house and's like, well, obviously not here and hopefully not there, considering that it looks like he got attacked or something.
Did we figure out how old those battle marks were?
Nope.
No.
Didn't look into that.
Have you heard any strange commotions coming from that building over the last couple months?
I mean, I don't usually keep to that part of town very much. I just happened to be on this side of town whenever you went yelling. And I'm not going to run away when you have points to Hollis.
Very well, you're no help. She goes and finds another person.
You're no help. Oh.
I toss her a gold piece as we walk by.
I mean, did you guys follow Silver or Riven when you went out there?
Yeah, I mean, what else are we fucking supposed to do? Yeah, we're following,
She's
and
just
we...
gonna go around and start asking people, be like, have you heard anything strange coming from this over here? Any fightings or seen this dwarf?
I'm
I
here to
wish-
scare you. Please tell me
wish-
everything.
That this was 3.5 and the skill gather information existed.
It could just be a simple charisma check.
Yeah.
Maybe a
Yeah, okay.
One,
Ooh,
So-
ooh,
so-
someone take charisma check. What?
So everybody
you,
roll
though.
for me.
Oh,
You guys are all going out here doing what Riven's doing, I'm assuming, once you realize what she's doing.
I mean, Locke's...
Uh.
yeah, her mana could use some work. Maybe I should help. And yeah, Locke will start participating.
yeah,
So-
might as well.
Everybody roll for me
Persuasion.
a charisma.
Hold on.
It is going to be... I guess it would technically count as persuasion for 5th edition.
Okay, so I've already
Um,
rolled my charisma, so can I just change the base roll or the? I rolled a
Yeah,
15.
yeah,
Can I
it-
just? Yeah, my persuasion is +8. So
Fitting, mine's a 10.
and we're trying to persuade what now?
We're trying to find information from people.
Yeah, you're trying to get information on... Essentially, you're trying to get information on
Like,
whether or
if
not Yong was here
Yong-
in the Finder, in the house.
Because apparently that's where he lives.
Yeah. So we got... you can go ahead and roll persuasion if you want to, Byrn.
Thinking if I had anything that would assist.
Oh, yeah.
Darn spellcasters and having too many bags of tricks.
Can't you read
Uh-huh.
people's minds?
You don't know that.
I know, but out of character.
Don't really have anything useful at the moment. So you said persuasion?
Yes, persuasion. And I will also like to point out, Byrn is observant, very observant. Does hang on, I wanted to sing Kenneth thing.
Be like, do you know anything? No, you're no help. Do you know anything? No as well, you're no help.
So Locke was an 18, 16, 10, 16.
before
Okay.
that, the 18 was
Or 18 was like 20 something.
it was a 15 +8 for my persuasion because I am a charismatic little
23.
shithead.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
What?
is a good point.
Sorry.
After
So is
like maybe the first or second person that we've spoken to, do you want everyone to do a perception check for that?
Yeah. So, Locke, you're going to get some information based on you rolling pretty high. But everyone other than Byrn, make a perception check.
Do.
Hey, 19.
There we go.
Bjorn? Let's see. Is Bjorn the only... Okay.
We have a Locke that hasn't rolled yet.
Oh, I have to? I thought I didn't have to because
Perception. Hollis would...
Nat 20.
Oh, hey, there we go.
Oh, dear Lord.
Woo! Go
There we
Locke.
go.
And Locke, you pick up on by maybe the second person that we've stopped to ask. My dialect has shifted. It sounds like I'm speaking the exact same way, like I could have been born and raised in this town all along.
I kind of side-eye Locke. Like, you catch that?
Yeah, I don't understand it, but I caught it.
All right. So in line
This
with
man is a
that,
bag of tricks.
and in line with that, you have Locke. You rolled a pretty solid persuasion to try to find somebody. So
I made a buster sword.
So you've found a person.
Shit.
Are you going to ask the similar questions to what Riven did, which is
No, he just follows up behind Riven and be like, "I'm sorry for her. She's not a people person."
She's not a people person. She has the weird multi-voice thing going on. I know, it's weird. We're looking into it. Can you, if there's anything you can tell us, just please. And then, of course, I'll also ask other people who are not immediately being terrified by my friend. It's like,
Is there no one who can answer our questions?
so the questions in line of that were, have you seen anyone who matches Yong's description? And do you know anything about the person who was in the
oh no!
house?
There
What
is
are you
no
doing?
one
What
who-
happened?
I accidentally deleted the mistakes have been made text.
Good job.
No.
No.
Anyway, all right.
I didn't
So,
know.
with that, you will have found a person, and he's like probably sort of rugged, a bit of a rugged looking fella. Little shifty, little dirty. Looks like he's sort of grew up mostly on the street. And he'll be like, who's asking what? Locke. Yeah.
Well, the dwarf woman I'm asking after, she's a friend of me and my friends. And just for clarity, I will again mask of many faces and do the turn into Yong.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, I have weird magic. It's really funky. Anyway, she looks like this. Obviously does not have a masculine teenager's voice.
You sound more feminine.
Shut up. You recall?
I know your pain, Ryan. Anyway.
If
Dude, I was just having Riven make fun of Locke for his voice. He's just
Right,
running
I know.
big.
Anyway. Okay, so what do you know about your friend then? The dwarf.
Well, obviously, name's Yong. Sneaky sort. Is very good with the punchy hands and the kicking with feet. Very good at martial arts. And she was here seeking information on another friend of ours who had gone missing. I don't want to get into too many details in the middle of public, just in case.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Some untoward dipshit is listening in.
Fair.
We know that she had dealings with the guy who lived in that decrepit house, the Finder. Was going through him to try and find information. And there was, at some point after they had teamed up, apparently the place got attacked. We checked the place out and it was just utterly ramshackled and no one was there. And we're trying to pick up the trail of where Yong went. So if you at any point saw anything that could even be the vaguest of hints, we'd very much appreciate it. Or if you know of anyone who would have seen anything.
Okay. Well,
Crystal.
so he sort of looks around to see if anyone's listening.
I will perform Awakened Mind.
Oh! Yes, freak him out.
And outwardly,
Okay.
I'll sort of lift a hand As in like a hold on a second gesture. Do
Uh-huh.
the like eye contact with the two fingers thing. And then with awakened mind I'll say, also I'm telepathic kind of.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's weird. If you're worried about someone listening in who shouldn't be, you can just say it to me in here and it should be fine. No one can listen. To everyone else, we'll just be having an impromptu staring contest.
Can you read my mind with that?
No. It's only whatever information you want to project to me, and it has to be based on a language. You can't, like, send me, like, weird mental pictures. It doesn't work like that. It's strictly communication.
Okay. Good to know. Neat trick.
Right?
Okay.
I wish I knew how it worked. Anyway, carry on.
Wait, what?
It's a very... It's complicated and long stories. Many, many long stories.
Okay. So, alright. The Finder, and perhaps this friend of yours, you said her name was Yong?
That's the short version of her name, but yes.
Yes. I take it that your friend, being the sneaky, thieving, roguish type, perhaps, the Finder works with several, different, like, thieving gangs that's all across Gradiriel, actually. And he tends to give missions and jobs out. And he also, as his name suggests, he helps people find things. He's a information broker at his core. Greedy little bastard, too. Ugh. Anyway. But that house back there was where he lived. Or at least his home, his more permanent homestead. He did tend to travel around a lot. But whenever he needed a place to, rest and do his own thing for a bit, he would come here. He was actually born here in Keurkeul. So this is his home. He doesn't have a lot of family anymore. A lot of them died in the mines, but if he's not there, then I would assume he's out somewhere, unless something happened. Now, you didn't hear this from me.
I don't even know your name. Keep it that way.
Fair, you don't, and I'm not going to tell you.
Good. I was going to ask.
My name is Vin.
So,
My name is Jeff.
I will point out, just for like imagery's sakes, not that he's speaking with a German accent or whatever, but this guy does have the same sort of make and appearance of somebody like Caleb. He's dirty, he's ramshackle, he's on the street.
Right.
But anyway, so I was coming down here to see if I could talk to him, find her myself, to get something. I'm a part of a roguish type guild, but I don't think your friend Yong was in the same one as me. I don't recognize her. But I was coming here to talk to him, and something was off. I went in there, I went and tried to talk to him for a bit. He gave me some bit of information, but it felt wrong. And now I leave and I come back to town and his house is in shambles. So, I don't know. Something might have happened. My hope is he's just not here. And then somebody found his house and just, destroyed it or whatever, looking for something. I mean, that's part of what he does. He finds things. But, I don't know. But I can tell you that your friend Yong probably knew him as a informant for her, if she worked for one of these other thieving guilds. So, that's all I got.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You look like a good kid. Got a good head on your shoulders. But if someone somehow finds out, try to policy, kid. You gotta give me something for the information here. Information's not free.
1 second. I guess I'll just discreetly slip the guy 10 gold coins and see if he's okay with that.
Oh yeah, that'll work.
Alright.
Riven comes back. Well, no one's here is going to help us. We might as well go on somewhere else.
Right, on that note, and I will guide Riven away from the guy I just paid.
What?
So, that guy just gave me a boatload of information.
But he was no help. He didn't give us anything.
I tapped my forehead a couple times. Telepathy, remember. Let's get the others together and I'll share what I learned.
Okay.
Alright, so.
And then the group gets back together then.
I say we go to the tavern.
Right.
You could, yeah.
I mean, if that's
My
what everyone wants
favorite
to
place.
do. If that's what everyone wants to do while we're discussing this.
On arriving outside the tavern, Riven's like, we're finally here, and she sits down on the ground outside the tavern.
Alright, let's form our little Boy Scout circle. I don't know. I have no idea what the Boy Scouts do.
Anyway.
So, how did this guy that gave me no information gave you information?
Was it the same person?
Magic.
Riven probably didn't necessarily talk to him, and even if she did, he probably just walked away.
So, like, as far as Riven was concerned, I just stared at this guy for a minute while she was interrogating other people.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, for the sake of brevity, and because I'm kind of half asleep over here for some reason and can't retain information worth a shit, I will just say I summarize what I was told and hope the rest of you were paying more attention than my sleep-addled brain was.
Nah.
I'm sorry, I was trying to actively listen, but my brain was just going...
Oh, you're fine.
Kirby.
Yes, I am haunted by our creation.
So,
See, the thing is, no one watching this is gonna have any context for this thing we keep referring to.
They're
it's
gonna have to
fine.
wait until the last episode.
Why not just edit in screenshots?
I mean,
Right?
Shush.
I've suggested
I'll give
this
him
how many
ideas.
times?
Anyway, so, yes, you will regurgitate all of the information, and it's basically summed up as, for those who may or may not have been paying attention directly, it's basically summed up as the Finder is a information broker for several thieves guilds all throughout the kingdom. The fellow that you talked to was a part of one, though not the same one that Yong was probably a part of, hence why Yong knew him. With that in mind, it's a reasonable conclusion to assume that he's either just not here, or considering that the fellow didn't see the veritable crime scene that was his house, he's either not here or just not here or dead. You don't know. But the key information bits was he was an information broker for various thieves guilds, and that Yong, being a rogue, was part of at least one thieves guild.
So, in my head, what I'm seeing here, the pattern that I'm sort of picking up, is Yong came here to get in contact with the Finder, started working with him to try and locate Silver. I can only imagine that people who would rather Silver stay in custody found out about this somehow, maybe through their own channels, who knows, interrupted it, and Yong had to flee and left us that message so we could get after her. That's the only thing I can think of.
It still would, Oak sort of speaks up, and it's like, it still would depend on whether or not this information was written, the information on the board was written before or after the attack at the house. We don't really know. And I feel like if Yong was on the run, she might not have been able to
Have time.
sit there in time to carve a signpost.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
How long, based on the craftsmanship of the word carving, how long would it take for someone to write all that out? Did it look like hastily done, or like patiently done in the dark of night, or anything like that?
It would have took time. That is potentially immediately evident in that
So
it's
she was not under duress when she wrote that message.
most likely not.
I would share that assumption with the group. She most likely was not pressed for time or under any immediate stress other than the stress of her mission.
Okay.
So
Fair point.
perhaps okay. And this is perhaps Yong got information from the finder that could potentially lead her to learning more about silver by going across the sea somehow. And then she took that trip across the sea and then came back. And then when she came back here is when this went down. Or perhaps she had to go across the sea to get something for silver or for the finder so that he could give her the information that he had on silver or something. It's reasonable to conclude that her trip across the sea or her trip or whatever it was that she did happened first. Because if she made that message just before she got attacked or as she was getting attacked, it wouldn't look as crafted as it does.
Right.
So we could try and retrace her steps and be on the lookout to see if she left any other messages.
Yeah, but that would require us to go across the sea again.
Unless we just go to the nearest port and see if we can find out if he has come back or not. I mean, ships will typically carry crew manifests. I imagine dock masters might have manifests of people coming and going potentially, so...
Yeah,
They
but
Yeah.
would
do
keep
you
a
think she
record
would
of
actually
his
write down her
stars.
name?
I'm hoping rather that you know what thievy type organization Yong was a part of. I know she was part of some group before she linked up with all this, so do you know anything about that? I know that your family's kind of really weird and that you're from all over the fucking place.
Yeah, she worked with them for a while, like especially when she was younger, but then just before, I think she cut ties with them briefly, just before she ended up staying and hanging out with Leanne a lot. She never really wanted to talk about the name or who they were. She tried to keep it in her past.
Alright, so odds are then we wouldn't be able to go to them for any clues.
But I do know that whatever thieves guild that she worked with is a predominant thieves guild in Rydell.
Right.
Do we have to go back to Rydell?
You haven't since you upset the god that protects it.
No, that I'm asking, do we have to go back?
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I mean, I still think my plan at least has some sound grounds to it. Head to the big port town that we know about and ask and just see what we can find there.
Yeah. That is definitely a potential option.
Which port town? I do believe there's more than one here, right?
I think there's only like one big one on the mainland. We'd need to be looking at the map.
There is technically two. And they're not necessarily big towns. But the only reason that it works that way is because there's only one port town that you have went to. There's a second one that you haven't went to at all. It is going back to the map, away from your doodles. Boop.
All right, yes,
Fort
sir.
Town.
I Ching.
Fort towns are I Chang here and Yeaser over here. The one that you guys have actually traveled with and went to before is I Chang. You used I Chang when you went to
To Muzushad for the
Muzu Chard
snake
way back
ladies.
during the whole Noro thing. And I Chang was also the place where you ported to boats that went to a bond.
Right. Let's see here. We've been to Plorend, and that could also technically count, but I get every
Yes.
impression
And
that...
technically, Florend has boats too. You use a boat
I-
from Florend to I Chang to come back here.
I don't think we did I Chang. I thought we did Eraser.
I remember making fun of Eraser. I don't remember making fun of iChain.
Either way,
Yeah, because there's a reason why we used the other one. Because I remember there was a scene with Silver.
That's
yeah.
kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah, you're right. So, Yeaser is where you had actually
I think we
primarily
did.
did reporting Fort Town
I
stuff.
think, if I may, I think we did go through the town that Silver wanted to steer clear of, because I think we found a wanted poster of Silver there, and Locke confronted her about it.
Yep.
Yes.
So
There was a specific road that we went down, but there was an area of the road that she guided you guys around.
Yeah.
And then we went on to the Fort Town.
So you did go to... Yeah, that's what it is. You passed through I Chang briefly, recently, when you went from Plyrand down to I Chang to go back to where you're going. Because you ended up in Plyrand after battling Noro, and then you went from Plyrand to I Chang and then to Caverton. Or then to Rydell, rather. But
Something.
You passed through I Chang. You just didn't really do much there. And you have actually, when you found reports and you took your boats and various things to Iban and to Muzuchad, that was Yeaser. So, yeah. Ultimately, you have potential port towns that you could go to.
I'd rather not run all the way to Yeaser if possible, because that would involve traveling fairly close to Caberton and passing by the bluff where the temple is. And I don't want to get too close to that if we can help it before we're ready to actually launch the assault. And besides that, I Chang is just closer. If Yong was heading across the waves, she would likely go to the nearest port, and I Chang's closer.
True.
Yeah. It sounds
Oh.
logical.
Those are the two towns that we know of that has a port.
Yeah. Technically
Right.
Three.
4 if you count Muzushad,
Four.
but who gives a shit about Muzushad?
Yeah.
I would say 4
oh-
because Yvonne and Pallard and then Ichang and...
There's multiple various port towns. Regardless, the closest one to where you are currently at is Aichang.
Right, okay.
So you could travel and go to Aichang and try to retrace Yong's steps to see if you could find where she is or what happened therein.
I mean, we can't really launch the assault to get Riven back until we have Yong and have that sword, which is what she was looking for, so for now we just have to go after Yong, I guess. And if that means
Yeah, but
poking
Yong
around
is looking for information on Silver, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Remind me, because
Do
it has
you
been...
guys know where she... I don't know, where she was born?
Let's pause for a second, because I need a quick refresher, because it's been a hot minute. What is the significance of the sword? I vaguely recall Silver mentioning
The
it had
sword
significance,
is
but...
significant to Silver because her god gave her that sword. And that is the sword that she made an oath on to get revenge for the desecration of her temple. So she
Yes.
wants that sword to enact revenge.
Mm-hmm. The sword is blessed. The sword is blessed by Helm and magical to allow it to be what is the thing to kill off the people that corrupted her temple and whatever.
Basically, it's an executioner's blade, kind of.
Yes.
A holy divine
in-
executioner's blade, gotcha.
Yep.
Yes. And in that context, when Rune took Riven, or Silver, when Rune took Silver and captured her and took her away, Rune took and did something with Silver's sword. Because she knew that it was blessed and was this divine retribution blade, and that it would slow down Silver's cause to want to fight if she didn't have her sword.
Cheeky bitch. Okay.
Yes. So, yes. Yong herself doesn't necessarily know all those details, per se. Because I don't know, did Silver say that her sword was blessed like that? To anyone directly?
I'm trying to think if she gave the full details of her background.
I know that she gave us the gist about the fact that she was brutally tortured after her temple was overtaken by the bad guys and all that shit, but it's been a hot minute, so I don't remember all the details you shared.
Okay. Well,
And
going
even
off of that, I can sit there and give a recount.
Even then, it would be Yong, Oak, and Locke that would know, because Silver didn't interact with Bjorn or Byrn.
Right.
So,
Well, Silver hasn't met Bjorn. Byrn.
Or Bjorn. Well, she met Bjorn, right?
Yeah, she did meet
met
Bjorn.
Bjorn.
She traveled with Bjorn for a while before
She was
got
drinking companions.
Yeah, they were drinking
This is true.
companions. They were buddies, and then Silver got annexed.
It was quite sad.
It very much was.
No,
So-
her
Yeah, go ahead.
something happened with the temple. She had a hallucination where there was demons and fiends or whatever rampaging through the temple, and she was going through and killing them. Turns out due to the hallucination, turns out she was actually killing innocent people. She killed her best friend. Then she was captured by the fake High Commander that turns out was not the High Commander that she had high respects for. And was thrown into a cell and it was labeled heretic and was going to be executioned. Helm spared her by a lightning strike which threw her off the cliff. She woke up in a shack to a vision of Helm standing in the doorway with the sword sticking in the ground and him telling her to reenact his revenge on the temple.
And then from there, she went to be a mercenary for a while so that she could,
Get money to hire people to help
yes.
go against the temple.
Yep.
And that's what she met you guys all in Yukiegi.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're
That
just
was like
doing it anyway, trying to take out the fucking temple anyway, just because I know you started as hard help, but like you're our friend now, so fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, Silver's arc as a character was divine retribution against those that wronged her temple, those that wronged her. And now you guys are going to do exactly that by virtue of
We are her
they
retribution.
yeah, you are providing her with the source of the retribution that she wants to have. So
Like, at first she was scared to go up against them, and now she's like, yeah, fuck you guys, I got some great friends.
So with all that, Yong herself would have known at least a little bit about the
Y'all
sword.
should know a little bit more about Silver's past life.
Yes, backstories and
Yeah.
she did. But she still needed information because one key detail that I am pretty sure that Silver did not share precisely, because even she didn't know the specifics of it, is why. What was so special about Silver to baddies? Why did they torture her so much? What was the big important detail there? That plus information on Helm and Silver's connection to Helm Yong basically went across the sea to find somebody of Helm that was not corrupt.
Yeah, because the temple that's in Slagland's Bluff is actually like the highest temple in this continent that supplies like paladins and clerics and judges for like major cities.
Mm-hmm.
Basically like judge and like jailers and all that fun stuff. Guards.
Helm is a god of justice, judge, jury, executioner. Of that sort. And his temple for this continent was Saglin's Bluff. And it got sacked and corrupted. And so, to find out more about that and try to get some help, Yong would have to go across the ocean to somewhere that was not corrupted Helm. So, yeah. But anyway, you guys have potential course of action to travel down to Aichang to see if you can find yourself a boat to get to wherever it is that that Yong went to.
Riven's in there going like, do you guys know where it's like she grew up? We can go see if she has family. Go talk to them. Or go see if she has any other friends.
Thing is, I don't think Silver really told us much about her life before the temple.
If she gave you... Did Silver tell them the
I
one
remember that Silver did something Eraser. She went to a graveyard and someone followed her. And it wasn't Yong. I don't think it was Yong.
Was it not Yong?
No, Yong followed her in Iban.
Well, either way, I don't think the rest of our characters would have been aware of that little venture, so that doesn't help us.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Trying to operate off
Either way.
character knowledge here.
So ultimately, it might have been Oak, maybe.
Maybe, who knows?
Because
someone was like following her just to make sure that she wasn't doing anything like sneaky.
Either way, even if it was Locke at that time, he wouldn't have asked her about what she was looking at necessarily, and he might not have been found. But either way, so point is, the answer to Riven's question. The answer to Riven's question is no.
Yeah.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah. It's,
All right. Well, guess let's. Do we want to stay here for the night, or do we want to get on the road again?
I mean, it's only morning.
On the road again?
It's only morning-ish, so I say we don't waste time and get moving. We've kept Silver waiting long enough as it is.
Yeah, the sooner we get this done, the less we have to pay the dragon.
Right? There is also that. So long as there are no objections, I say we just keep going.
Yeah.
On the road again?
On the road.
On the road again. Alrighty. So, you guys will then leave Keurkeul and make your way to Aichang to see if you can charter yourself a boat.
If we get a boat, where are we heading to?
I have absolutely no idea at present. I was figuring we'd ask around a bit first and see if anyone saw Yong passing through, if they did, if they know anything about where she was going. If we just pick a random direction and go, our odds of getting anywhere are basically slim to nil, so... I mean, there's multiple bloody continents on this planet and multiple cities on each, so...
Yeah. Byrn.
Yeah.
Roll for me history at advantage.
Ooh.
Are we still on the road, or did we make it to the town?
Yeah, you're gonna be going on the road at this point.
Okay. Silver.
16.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a thing. Continue, Sam.
I was gonna say, Riven's gonna try to do something with her dreams, or at least she's gonna try to dream and just keep sitting there thinking of the stupid little gnome.
It's an interesting solution.
By the way, earlier when Locke was doing like mask of many faces thing, that's the entertainment hat, right?
I mean, Locke has that ability. Locke has the ability anyway.
Yeah,
I have the entertainment hat.
Yeah, I just have the ability to cast the disguise self spell at will because of a warlock perk. The happy fun hat, yeah, that's on Bjorn.
Riven is trying to will herself into a dream.
Yes, at night when we settle down for a night.
A cacophony of voices are like, become another person, become another person, become another person, become another person, become another. Okay, sorry.
From one into another, from one into another.
Anywho, so, what kind of shape would this be? I don't even know.
I would figure, if I may just toss my hat in the ring, I would say probably, I would say either intelligence or wisdom. Probably intelligence, because it's like a mental exercise to lucid dream. It requires a lot of discipline. And if you're like forcing yourself into that kind of state, it would kind of be in that same sort of vibe, I would think. So that's what I would do if I were DM, but I'm not, so you do you.
But I think she's trying to get to the asylum.
Right. I suppose it would be trying to manipulate and understand magic and pushing and controlling magic. I know that based on obvious circumstance, Riven is not going to have proficiency in Arcana.
Nope. Well, she already doesn't have proficiency in Arcana. So.
But by all accounts, it would be a straight intelligence, essentially Arcana roll for her to try to.
4.
Yeah, no.
My intelligence is 1, so.
Yeah, no, not really.
Shit. Okay.
But, depending on if anybody wants to do anything with their time as you're traveling to Ichang, you're going to have multiple days when you're going that direction.
I mean,
Um,
only thing I can really think of, that would be metagaming. Never mind.
so,
Okay, so
Yeah.
Silver is alive, right?
asking this question where? With who?
To the whole party.
Okay, yeah.
Byrn shrugged.
As far as I know, they want her alive.
Have you guys tried contacting her?
I'm pretty sure Oak has tried a handful of times.
Oak, have you tried talking to Silver?
Well,
Or have you just been trying to talk to Yong?
I mean, once Yong was trying to, look into her, I did pretty much focus on Yong. I haven't actually tried to contact Silver in a while. I can do that.
Can you try?
I don't know if any kind of result it'll give me, but yeah, I can do that. Give me a minute.
Wait, because she's like, what, sitting in a cell somewhere?
As far as we know, yeah.
And if your message for whatever reason fails to get through, I can see if Vindsvept can pop me there. Though last time he did that, I did eventually get ejected when I walked into something.
You walked into a door, didn't you?
I think it's been a while. Both in and out of
It was a very thick door with heavy chains on it.
Right.
Yes.
Bottom line is, if I were to do it again, my objective would not be to cause mayhem or chaos or get her out, like had been my original plan back then, but just to check in and make sure she's still alive and doing all right, and get her up to speed on what we're doing.
Do you want to do that anyway?
We've been very busy. I haven't had many opportunities to do it. I really feel bad about it. Probably should have.
Okay. So we will do. Oak will do sending to see if he can contact Silver. And then he will get no response.
Then I guess I'll just
Okay.
I'll just have to see if the tentacly boy can get me in.
Yeah, we can try.
I'll try when we make camp.
Okay. Anybody else want to do anything? Bjorn, Brian?
You two just along for the ride.
I think so, yeah.
At this point, yeah.
Okay. Well, so Locke will do his summoning of his sugar daddy, as it were.
I will perform the ink swirl. Yes.
Yes.
I thought maybe you
And-
would summon your swamp to sleep in or something.
I mean, I could do that, but it only lasts for a minute, and it requires
And it will
concentration.
disappear.
And then it disappears. Yeah. So, I mean, that's rooted, and I mean, that's mechanically rooted still in my warlock spells, though lore-wise, I think we've ruled that that's just me overstepping my sorcery bounds a bit, because that is my chunk of that pocket dimension that I'm forcing into the material plane.
Yeah. But there's weird magics involved in that.
There's some mechanical versus lore-based dissonance going on there, because mechanically, that's a warlock thing. Lore-wise, that's a sorcerer thing.
I mean, lore-wise, it's a Locke's magic thing, is more precise.
Like I said, sorcerer thing, because my sorcery shit is mine.
No, here's what I'm saying. The in my mind, the references is, if you, realistically speaking, the characters within this world are not going to necessarily speak of sorcerer or warlock or any of that kind of thing. I just do it for ease of brevity.
It's just
But-
magic bullshit.
Because magic. But Locke's magic that's his is sorcery magic. And the spells that Vindsvept gives him are warlock magics. That is the discrepancy between the spells in lore. I don't see a problem with Locke having a spell or spells in his repertoire that he chooses to get himself that happen to be warlock spells. And especially if there's spells that could technically be something a sorcerer could learn. In that context, your planar island is a level 6 Mystic Arcanum spell, but is a warlock and sorcerer spell. So, either way, point being, you don't do that because that's a waste of magic and would take too much energy. You just do your inky swirl thing.
Yeah, I'll just do my inky swirl thing for like 25 minutes. I might add the planar island to it just to see if that can really get Vindsvept's attention, but...
Ding
Yeah.
dong.
Alright, so you will get, that following night,
Wait.
you will get, Dreamscape Land.
Yee!
Wait, real quick. It's just like Vindsvept's just like chilling in a swamp. Have you guys seen the videos of like trees disappearing in a sinkhole in a swamp?
No.
Oh, there's a video like slowly like trees just disappear out of the swamp into a sinkhole stuff, and I was like, what if it did that, but the trees appear up on our side for Locke's spell?
I mean, it's my tree specifically that does that, but yeah.
But I would be like,
Um,
oh,
That's neat. That's a neat idea. Anyway, so you will find Vindsvept in the typical manner that you find Vindsvept.
You're getting more responsive. I like it. I remember once upon a time it was a gamble if you'd answer when I called.
Well, as you no doubt seen, there have been times where I try to help and can't. So
Right.
you are dealing with some very dangerous people and dangerous magic, Locke. If I am not privy to that information, that usually means something very big is going down.
Right. Well, regardless, I don't always like piggybacking off of your abilities when I have my own things I can do, but, well, I don't have the ability to project myself like you seemingly can, so if it's at all possible, I'd like an opportunity to check in on Silver. Just see how she's doing. Maybe give her a sit rep. She's been sitting in there on her own for a while, last I heard, so... If it's possible for you to send me to her so we can have a chat, that would be great.
So you want to go and you want to speak with Silver.
If possible, yes. I don't plan on pulling any of the complicated or sneaky shit I tried last time you sent me where she was. I'm still trying to do my best to honor her requests on that front, but still, a situation report on things she's missed and just making sure she's all right, if possible. That's just what I want to do right now.
I see. Well, I can see what I can do.
All right.
And Locke, I want you to
Make a death
just
save?
roll. No, I just want you to roll for me a d20.
1d20.
Yes, just a straight d20.
Natural 20.
Oh, grand.
Was this like rolling to see if it worked or not?
We're rolling to have to see what the significance or information or whatever that you potentially could glean from what you do. Or how easily Vindsvept can pierce and push through to try to do things.
You know, to project me, because that is what I'm hoping
project.
for.
Yes, project. So, Locke,
I remember when I was scared of this ability.
right?
Now I just abuse it.
You do occasionally abuse it, but as you said, once you've started to get abilities of your own, you've started to try to depend on those and not his. Which, both in character, is Locke trying to stand on his own 2 feet, and out of character is keeping me from having to come up with reasons for this potentially godly being to tell you no.
It
So,
could just be as simple as, bitch, do it yourself. Albeit not worded that way. But I digress.
right. But I don't necessarily want to do that because I've been playing up Vindsvept to being legitimately helpful.
Right. Anyway.
Yeah.
What does my natural 20 get me?
Yes. So, Locke, you will find yourself, when you are projected, especially in those moments when you are flung away, you have this sort of astral projection element of you're out of your body and you're sort of floating.
Mm-hmm.
And you find yourself in darkness, pitch dark. You cannot see. Dark vision be damned. You cannot see. It is extremely hot, very humid, very uncomfortable, like you're in a freaking furnace. And you see nothing. But you're here.
I hear.
You have you are in a space in which you feel as though you could try to maneuver and look around, but there's in your immediate present you can't see your hands in front of your face.
Is it open space, or does it seem at all like claustrophobic and enclosed? Like, if I lightly tap my foot against the ground, do I get like a real shrill echo of a confined space? No echo at all? Am I in like a big chamber? Can I discern anything doing that?
You can't necessarily tap your foot against the ground because you are floating. You are actually, like, no discernible means, because pitch dark, you have no discernible means of up and down and left and right and all that. Your sense of direction is completely thrown out of whack. But you do feel as if, you know, you pick a direction and go, and you go. So you're not in an enclosed space, at least not one that's immediately apparent.
So not claustrophobic, at least.
Right. You're not claustrophobic. You're in like a imagine if it's sort of like akin to like a sense deprivation chamber where you have nothing.
I have never been in one of those.
Well, I know, but there's videos.
I never
that
even knew
about.
they existed until last week, so fortuitous.
Yeah. The idea is you You hear
Partially
nothing.
submerged in like body temperature water, and you're in an enclosed space, and it's just darkness.
Right.
Yeah. In this context, you are swimming in air. You have no discernible means of up, down, or left or right, or any kind of direction. It is extremely hot and extremely humid and extremely dark. But the space that you're in, that you can move around in, is there is a space for you to move.
Okay.
Hot.
What's that, Sam?
I said hot.
Yes, hot.
Question. Is my mage hand a visible thing, or is it invisible?
That is usually discernible to, I think, you deciding.
I think I've always ruled it as being invisible because Hollis just randomly starts feeling petted,
Yeah.
and there's no visual element
Generally.
to it. So
I feel as though Mage Hand as a spell is flavor-wise up to the discretion of both the player and the DM.
that's frustrating. Because like I'm trying to see if I have any spells that generate light that aren't like a direct fucking attack. But most of my spells are attacks or don't have a visual element, or I don't have the ability to cast them here. Fuck.
Do detect magic so your eyes become little flashlights.
I mean, they don't glow that brightly, but I will do detect magic.
Okay.
Just to see if there's anything within 30 feet of me that's magical.
Um.
Of course, given the fact that I seem to be in zero gravity, that would imply to me that I'm surrounded by magic right now.
Technically, there's an element of magic in your immediate vicinity that is all around you. Yes. You would be detecting the magic that is ambient when putting you here. So that's like divination magic.
Right, so I would know to filter that out.
Yeah. But there are traces of, like, divination magic that is further away from you and not connected to the one that's got you wrapped in a bubble right now. It's faint and it's a little far away, but it's over there. There's almost all schools of magic are all around you, with the exception of, like, maybe one or two. Like, you don't necessarily have illusion magic in your immediate vicinity. Or, aberration. You don't have aberration or illusion in your immediate vicinity, but just about everything else is.
Do the auras seem to be focusing around any one particular point, or are they just all over the fucking place, like a minefield?
Yeah, pretty much that.
It's not helpful at all. I will listen for any kind of sound, like breathing, maybe.
Make a perception check.
Good, because I'm so good at that. 15. Not terrible.
15. So you will hear, like, the clanging of, like, stone on metal. Like this. It's almost makes you think of, like, actually, Locke, give me an intelligence check.
Oh, good, because I'm so good at those.
Hey, you might get another nat 20.
7!
Okay, yeah. You're too sort of discombobulated by what's around you to get anything out of it.
Well, regardless, it is a sound, it is a point of interest. I have nothing else to go on, so I'm gonna float that way.
You're gonna float towards the sound of the like, ting, ting,
Yeah.
ting. Yeah. Okay. Do me a favor. Make for me a Constitution save.
Oh, good.
Because you're good at that.
Because I am good at that. 7 again!
Okay, cool. I don't know precisely where you would mark it, because I don't know if it's on the character sheet somewhere. But, Locke, you just earned yourself a point of exhaustion.
Oh, good! I have a custom resource made for that. Great.
Uh-huh.
So is
Do you
like
press on?
I mean, I assume this is just a sensation. Does the air like hold me in place and stop me from moving, or is it just a bitch to move through?
It's the environment that you are in is oppressive. It's bad. The point, realistically speaking, ignoring all the magic involved, the point of exhaustion that you just got is from heat exhaustion. You're in somewhere that is hot. It sucks. It's like a freaking sauna.
Before I press on, I'm going to see it. I'm gonna like focus in the direction of the sound, and I'm going to reach out with my awakened mind thing and see if I can establish a link with anything in that direction. If there's anything within 30 feet, maybe I can make a link.
And we did allow you to use awakened mind on people that you thought were in a given direction.
I believe
when
Go ahead.
I think awakened mind specifically says you have to be able to see them.
Yeah, but in the past, at least on a handful of occasions, you've let me bypass that if I knew someone or something was there, even if I didn't have line of sight, like with my mom upstairs in the Yukiagi bar.
Right, yeah. But it was usually based on, like, magical elements and things. Give me an Arcana roll at disadvantage.
Well, at least I have a decent bonus in Arcana. 14? Not too terrible.
14. So you focus, you push with your awakened mind, and you try to establish a link, and you find something. There's someone over there near where that sound is, but you can tell from how you always do your awakened mind link that whatever you got is shaky at best. It's like it would effectively be a cell phone signal with like 1.5 bars.
I mean, I still have no visual, right?
No.
Alright. So I guess I'll just whisper through the link. Who is this?
What?
So it's not Silver that answers?
No. Voice you don't know. Very, very, very gruff and like bassy and deep. What?
Who are you? And what is this place?
I don't. It's your speech is broken. Bad cell phone signal. There would be, if this was a phone signal, this would be static, but you don't have that because mind link.
Can I attempt to move closer again?
You can.
Will I need another constitution check?
If you're here for much longer, you might.
I'll push closer and then stop if it starts feeling like I'm really getting oppressed again, and see if I can get a clearer signal.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to find Silver, and right now this bitch is the only thing I have that's at all a reference.
So, you know when you tap and, like, we established that when Locke is, in his, this forced away space, that he can interact with objects if he chooses to do so.
Yeah.
So you're reaching out and you're trying to...
I'm just trying to cross some of the distance is all I'm doing.
Yeah. You're trying to reach out and find something. And you... you will touch briefly onto something or someone that is extremely hot, very hot. It's like your hand just went into fire. And then you feel yourself getting in this sensation of you're suddenly spinning. It's like somewhat, since you're in zero gravity and you're sort of floating, something moved really quickly in your general vicinity, and the humid and heated air just like moved with it, and you went with it, and you went ass over tea kettle.
Alright.
Constitution save. Disadvantage.
I can't save.
With disadvantage.
Oh,
Good.
great. 7. That would have been a 19. Why is it all 7s? Stop giving me 7s. This isn't Final Fantasy 7. I don't get anything for that.
There's another
At
point
least it
of
wasn't
exhaustion.
Joker Doom and we all die.
That's another point of exhaustion for you, sir.
Ah, God. I mean, is the signal clearer at least?
Nope, not now. You got spun ass over tea kettle, and you're nowhere near where you were at. The sound is further away.
Ah, great. Well, fuck. I'm just going to say, fuck this, and I'm just gonna push myself straight up as fast as I can and see if I can get out of this oven. I can't do anything if I'm exhausted as shit and back, so I'm gonna see if I can get somewhere where it's not quite as fuck you-y.
So you're just gonna go straight up?
There's nothing else I can really think of to do.
Yeah. Okay. So you will fly straight up. You'll get the sensation of, because you moved through buildings and things when you were traveling in this space before. So you know that sensation of you traveling through a solid surface. And you will do that. You'll go straight up, and you'll go through what appears to be some sort of ceiling or roof. The temperature doesn't ease though, not by much, maybe a little. Your temperature and oppressive, like the force of the heat has diminished a little bit, but not by much. It's still very hot. And the like oppression of it is a little bit less, but you're outside of whatever building you're in, and it was, for lack of a better way to put it, the inside of the building you were in was probably about 5 or 6 degrees higher than everything else around it. Everything else around it is like maybe 150 easy.
God, what is this place? Am I in the middle of an active volcano?
Yeah. Still dark though, by the way.
Fucking blowing a spell slot. I'm going to prepare a witch bolt, but I'm not going to launch it, so I have a source of light for a few seconds.
Okay. Well, what I'm going to do here, for my phone's getting messages out the game Yang at the moment. So yeah, it's still very dark. You set up your witch bolt. You have some degree of light, maybe in the immediate area around you, maybe 5 or 10 feet, maybe something like that. And Locke, you are floating in the air, and you will see in your immediate vicinity, with what little light you have, you will see some like edge of a creature or something, like large, not feathered, but like leathery bat style wings of some sort that comes very close to where you are, but because you are more or less invisible to those around you, it just passes through your immediate area. But the rest of whatever it is doesn't get close enough to you for you to get a sense of what it is. It's just a leathery wing that passes through your immediate line of light.
Can I fly closer and examine what this thing is? I am suspecting it might be a dragon, but I want to get closer and find out, because it also might be a weird fucking demon thing. I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna basically try to follow it, try to get a guise of
Yeah, I want
what it
to,
is.
Yeah, I want to follow the wing up to where the joint meets the back of whatever creature it belongs to.
Okay. So you will find a... Well, it looks... When you follow the wings back, you will find like a very pretty gold some sort of metal, might be actual gold, you don't even know, that is like attached to the wings to this creature, whatever it is, and that leads you to a ivory and gold, essentially, chariot, and inside it is, for lack of a better way to put it, Locke wouldn't have anything to quantitate it to, but you see, sitting in this chariot, being guided by this leathery creature of some sort, a demon. You're not sure what kind. Locke doesn't really know that kind of stuff.
And unfortunately, right now, that demon is probably going to see my fucking witch bolt, because I'm assuming that is still there.
I mean, you have light. They don't see you. They see the light that you're creating.
Oh, so there's just like a little thing of light that's just drifting up towards it.
The demon creature sort of looks in your immediate vicinity, and you hear speech that you don't really know. You know deep speech. Does Locke know Abyssal?
Let me check. I do not. I have Common, Elvish, Deep Speech, and Sylvan.
So I thought, yeah. So it's a language you don't know. And the demonic-looking creature will just lash out through your light where you are. Doesn't hurt you because you're not actually there. It just slices straight through you with a sword. Just.
Okay. Does that do anything to me, or does it just pass through where I am harmlessly?
Because of the direction and placement of it, I'll say give me a dexterity save to see if you stay positioned. Because now you're sort of seeing it coming versus before when you didn't.
Natural 1.
Nope. It's as if you're hit by it, but you're not, and you just spin straight down.
Am I close enough to establish an awakened mind link with this creature? Look, I'm just improvising at this point.
I know, it's fine. But I will say, give me another Constitution save.
Ah, shit. How many points of exhaustion can I take before I fucking die?
5.
Well, I rolled an 11, so I assume that's another point.
In this place, yeah.
And would
Yeah,
it have been
barely,
a
there.
disadvantage?
In that particular sense, not as much. He's not inside of the building that's worse, and he's not expecting it as much. So, you have exhaustion point 3, and
Dude.
you are wanting to establish awakened mind link with the creature that you just know just left your immediate vicinity, because now you don't have your light from where you're at. So,
If possible, I only want to ask him one thing, and then I want to get the hell out of here.
okay. Give me a Arcana roll. This time, not at advantage, or not at disadvantage, rather.
13.
You might have something. You feel like it's about as ragged as what you did before.
Where is Silver?
You get a single word in response, and so it's not as broken up for you because it's only one single word. Who?
I'm sure we'll meet again. And I'll cut the link and see if I can get myself out of here.
Oh yeah, that's easy. you basically, Vindsvept sort of launched you into a place through this astral projection, and you just sort of yanked the chain that put you there, and you're just like, "Yep, take me back, get me out of here." Ying ding.
Yeah, I can't stand this place. It's killing me, quite literally.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just
And-
get yoinked back to my body.
And you're back where you're back in your swamp with Amundsen.
Ow. Where the hell was that?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Not this plane, I can tell you that. I realized, and I was trying to bring you back because I realized something was wrong. I could not send you as effectively as I could anywhere else. You were more broken and off the grid than when I sent you when you ended up in the Feywild that one time.
It was hot. Hot as hell, humid. It didn't feel like there was any real space. It was like there wasn't any light.
Well,
it was like I was underground in some sort of like semi-water, but not. There wasn't practical gravity or anything like that.
I will say that if there was no place for you to, if you ended up in darkness, perhaps some element of this place was blocking my magic, which didn't allow me to put you there as effectively as I could. There are moments when you are floating in your travels with me. I'm not entirely sure if that's related to where you live. Did you see any creatures around you?
I only made visual contact with one creature. I managed to establish an awakened mind link with 2 creatures, but the link was fuzzy, broken. I assume because my projection was faulty. I didn't get anything of value out of any of them, but the one I managed to get a visual link on that I saw, I don't really know how to describe it. Only way I can think of is it was some sort of demon, maybe? He was in a chariot, ivory, gold. There was some sort of creature pulling it with big wings, leathery.
Locke, I do believe you were actually in hell.
Oh, good. Had a feeling.
And that's where I'm going to call the session.
Fuck. Fuck! Silver's in hell? Shit! Are we too late? Is she dead already?
The 9 hells.
Noises of
So we get-
disgruntlement!
So we get to go punch Satan.
Oh, no.
Hey, Asmodeus, how would you like Dahlia for a snack?
Yes.
So Locke
You
has
have some ideas.
Locke has 3 levels of exhaustion. I have disadvantage on ability checks, my speed is halved, and I have disadvantage on attack rolls and saving throws. Oh god.
I mean,
I was hoping the first exhaustion point would have scared you away.
Locke is still kind of tunnel visioning here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And based on that logic, you still rolled to fail, but seeing as how the first point of exhaustion is disadvantage on saving throws, you would have had disadvantage on the others as well. But
Either way.
either way, it doesn't matter, you failed regardless. Not a happy place.
Yeah,
Nope.
I can tell.
I think the demon should have actually been a fiend, but
Demons, fiends,
Demons, devils, who gives a shit?
yeah, whatever. A whole
Um,
bunch of them fighting around each other, so.
It's a fiendish, demonic-looking individual with leathery wings and riding in a golden chariot plane.
All in all,
It's
fun
worth
time.
noting. It's worth noting. I did look this up and establish it. 9 Hells does in fact have a town that is essentially a city of gold.
Ah,
Yep.
good.
Oh no,
isn't that
maybe
the one
Thor
that
might
used
be
to
there.
be? Isn't that the one that used to be near Baldur's Gate?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But yes, so that is where we're going to end it. I will say, this has been Shadows to be David, and join us next time, Brian.
All right. This has been Shadows of Gradiriel.
Join us next time as we continue trying to unravel this fine fucking mystery we've gone and stumbled into. And Locke is probably just going to take a nap for most of next session because he has 3 levels of exhaustion. The boy needs his sleep.
Just right on the... Oh.